Morning and welcome to StudyIQ. I am Prashant Mavani. I hope you all are doing good. There is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way, has been said by Thich Nhat Hanh. He is a Buddhist monk, and what he's trying to say here is that basically it's a path that we have to choose, and it is on us whether we are choosing misery or happiness. It's totally our fault if we choose misery. With this, dear friends, all for one and one for all is the first article that we are going to go through. It is about our defense services, and there is a topic that is, it's very hot topic at present. It's about this idea of having integrated military theater commands. Now, what it is all about? Basically, we have 19 predominantly single service commands in our country at various geographical locations, and replacing this 19, we are trying to introduce this 3 integrated military theater commands. The thing with this integrated military theater commands is that we are going to have, say for example, here you find here this word called, or terminology called, single service command. So a particular command or area will be looked after by Air Force, say for example, another area by Navy, and another one by Army, say for example. But here what will happen is that we will merge all of them. So say for example, northern part will be looked after by all 3, Army, Navy, Air Force. Southern, same thing goes with other 2 pockets as well. So is it a good idea or bad idea? If we go through articles that are written by some experts, like you have this article of S. Krishnaswamy, couple of weeks ago something, he wrote an article in the Indian Express newspaper. And in that article, I have gone through that article, and he talked about flexibility. He talked about this customized nature of war. So it all depends with which country we are in state of war. Not at present, but in future, right? So it's not that we are going to use the same, techniques and weapons. Weapons could be same, but techniques you have to change as per your opponent, isn't it? So there are various different calculations that you have to keep in your mind. And he also talked about this limitation of air power. He said that air power particularly has, Air Force has limited resources available. So when we are trying to merge this Army, Navy, Air Force, and, creating this 3 integrated military command, then it's not going to be that easy, as well as that you can say viable thing. That's what S. Krishnaswamy is trying to tell us in that particular article. Now, the main question here is what is the real problem? Why we are in such a state where we are finding this sort of, topics getting this sort of, fuel? Why it is a burning topic? The real problem is that all 3 services, they have a sort of ego issue, if I can use these words. All 3 services have their own visions, and unfortunately, their visions are not matching with each other. Someone is saying that Air Force should have more squadrons and, more planes and things like that. Then Army is talking about something else. Navy is talking about something else. Of course, I'm not saying that they are not patriot. Of course they are. They love our country as much as we do, or even more than that. But the thing is, unfortunately, their visions are not coming to one single point. They are a bit different, and this is the thing here, right? I would like to give you one example of a real, I don't know how true this story is, but it's a very good example. As I'm talking to you right now, means when I was going through this, talking with other students on Hindi version, this story came in my mind all of a sudden, so I thought let me share it with you guys as well. There was like X and Y, 2 parties or 2 kingdoms or 2 kings, and they were in state of war with each other, and it was eve before this war day, war day eve. So Y was more strong, more better weapons and many foot soldiers and cavalry, and so basically Y was having an upper hand as far as this material items are concerned. And X was confident that X will win over Y, or tomorrow's war is going to be a sort of easy, you can say reasonably easy for X. And the reason when X was asked, or the main people who were part of this X kingdom, they were asked why they are so confident about tomorrow's war. And the answer was that that observe their kitchens. They were on this Y people were on this mountains and or hills, and it was easily visible from a very far distance that they used to have different kitchens for different battalions and things like that. So basically, if they cannot eat together, they cannot cheat together, so if they are not able to share their food with each other, if they have this sort of you can say lack of uniformity, then how they are going to perform tomorrow in the war field. So something similar, this is a lesson for us as well, for our three services, that the main job is, the main aim is winning a war. That's it. And for that, if you need flexibility, then you have to calculate that. If you need agility, then you have to work on it, that how we can get agility. And the thing with war is, if we go through a statement of Karl von Clausewitz, he says that the nature of war does not change. It is the character of war that undergoes transformation. So this means that, when we talk about nature of war, so you will find violence, right? Violent character in every war. There is no war where you don't find violent character in it. Then you have this clash of wills between two opponents, of course, that is the most primary thing. And then you have this political primacy as well. So all these three factors are part of nature of war. These are the things that we find in each and every war that is so far fought, right, in the history of mankind. And in future wars as well, we are going to find these things. So this is the reason why he says that the nature of war does not change. Yes, the character of war. And when we talk about character, we are talking about military capabilities, economy of a country or two different opponents, technology that they are using, political considerations, civil military relations, and opponents' aim and strategy. All these things are part of this character of war. And one thing that I would like to highlight here is that its political purpose, right? This is the most important thing. Wars are nothing more than, you can say, political purposes, political endeavors. So it's not in country like India, it's not army chiefs and air force chiefs and marshals and admirals. They don't decide with whom they are going to have a war. It is this elected representatives, right? They are the ones who will decide whether we want to go ahead, or you can say this core government will decide, government of India will decide whether we want to go ahead or we don't want to go ahead in a war with a particular country or opponent. And it is very important to understand this thing as well. And this was a statement of our Minister of External Affairs, Shri Sushma Swaraj, in Rajya Sabha. She said this very important thing. She said that this whole Doklam issue that was going on at that point of time, she said that before a war as well you can talk, and after war as well. Means if you want to stop a war or conflict, then you have to talk, right? Dialogue is the thing that will stop this war. So it's much better, it's more logical, it's more sensible to have a chat before war, so that we don't see any war at all. So this is the strength of politics, if I can say. I'm not talking about those negative politics. I'm talking about politics that is the true definition of politics, that is nation building and development of citizens and things like that, particularly for a welfare state like our country. So the start point is the main question, or the main starting point is not about who is best, right? The primacy of winning war, who is going to perform best. The main point is we need to have this common understanding between the nature and character of war or wars. And the other thing is that I'll give you one more example that was mentioned in this article written by Krishna Swami. He wrote in his article that back in 2611, Mumbai attack, And in fact, this thing is mentioned by the writer of this article that we are discussing here. So he was part of this team that was, going through or calculating whether we need to attack Pakistan after this 26/11 Mumbai attack. And at that point of time, it was decided, the decision makers concluded that more was to be gained from not attacking Pakistan than from attacking it. So here, what we are trying to, understand is that the most important thing is the goal or national aim is the main thing that we need to focus on. Whether a thing that we do, whether we go for this three integrated military theater commands, is it going to be beneficial for our nation or not? Our nation or our forces, right, are defensive in nature. The whole structure, we call it defense forces, we call it defense ministry, defense minister, because our aim is not to expand our territories. Our aim is to defend our territories. And expansion territories, you have examples like you have NATO. The way they operate, they are ready to always pounce and jump in any particular area. Same thing goes for UK's, you can say UK's this defense, or you can say this forces, because if you go back to this case of Falkland Island, which is of course at present part of United Kingdom's overseas territory, but it was a sort of disputed island between Argentina and UK. And because UK is a strong country with all this might and other things, money and technology and other things, so they started launching big ships. They were heading towards this Falkland Island. There was a state of war as well between things were very bad between Argentina and UK. And still things are not sorted out. Still there are people in Argentina, they are not happy with this thing, that giving away this Falkland to UK. But anyways, the main point here is that we need to understand the nature of our defense. It is our forces or requirement. Why we need for our protection, and based on that we need to calculate, and that's it. That's everything. If we understand this thing, then there is nothing at all that can create problems for us. And of course they need to keep this, the main aim should be flexibility. We need to make it more lean and mean as well. This is a thing that is required at present, because too many foot soldiers and too many ships and aeroplanes and other things, it's not going to help us. Look at China. China is going to redundant some 3 lakh soldiers in near future, because it's not just reducing its soldiers or foot soldiers, right? At the same time, China is investing in new technologies, and this is the thing that we need to focus on, because in future we are going to find a cyber war. Cyber war is something that is already taking place. In future we are going to find space wars and other things. So I hope this thing is clear to you. Now, dear friends, before moving ahead, I would like to inform all of you that our pen drive and tablet courses are available for various different exams. Please check out StudyIQ.com to find out more about it. I have already shared the PDF of this lecture on my Facebook page and Twitter handle, and also on our Telegram channel. Second item that we have is very important. You will find 1 or 2 important facts and figures here, but it's very important to understand this thing, that we store every year some 30.52 million tons of rice, wheat, maize, gram and sorghum. Now, the way we store it, it sounds good that we are food secure, but we are, if we are food secure, then we are not looking after it very well, because we are storing it using this CAP method. CAP is cover and plinth method. So you can see here, this is cover and plinth method, and we cover it with just tarpaulin, which we find in covering this. It's a sort of material, like a cloth like material that is used to cover trucks. I'm sure we all have witnessed and seen this, spotted this thing on highways. So it's very cheap and easy way to store items, but it is not the best, of course, way to store food items, because what is happening is that we are finding this fungal infections taking place. Rats are eating away crores and crores worth of rupees food items, and on the other side what we find is that there are crores and crores of Indians, right? They have to sleep hungry every single night. Not every one of us is fortunate enough to have 2 square meal. People who are uh, lucky enough to have meal, right, 2 times in a day, then they are not getting balanced meal. And we can achieve all these things if we sort out our management system. When I say management, I'm talking about distribution system. This whole operation from production to your table or your food plate. If we design these operations right in a more effective and efficient way, then we can achieve this thing. Now the thing is that if we go through other parts of the world, what we find is that they store items in silos. Silos are this big chimney type of construction items. It looks like chimney, but it's not a chimney, of course. It's like a big jar. It's a big jar where things are stored, like food grains are stored, and they are kept dry and air, and they are prevented from this moisture, so that you don't find this fungal and insect attacks. And USA and other countries, they have always been very progressive when it comes to storing items and looking after food and not wasting. Means if you go back to history, at present the big problem with West is that their table food, food that they have on table, is the biggest problem for them is waste that is taking place on table. Food wastage on table is something that Western world is trying to rein in. And if we go back in the past, then we find that North American Midwest, when it came under this plow during 19th and 20th century, the first thing that they did, they started building this big grand grain silos, and they started laying this railway system so that they can explore, they can export, I beg your pardon, export these items to various different nooks and corners of their country. Now, I have one example of Ethiopia. I'm sure you have heard about Ethiopia. It's a very poor country. It used to be in a very bad state, right? So many people used to die because of hunger and starvation. But now that thing is a thing of the past, because they realized that it's not the food that is the problem. It's not production. It is distribution. And with the help of China, right, Ethiopia got roads, or you can say highways, and because of these highways, they started distributing all these food items to various different pockets of Ethiopia. Something like this can be executed in our country as well. We have some 18 lakh tons of food loss, right, every year when we store these items, food grains and other things. We lose 18 lakh tons. This is a big amount, right? It's a very big amount. And even World Health Organization recommends that if we store items in this CAP method, then it will develop fungus and moldy grains. Molds will attack grains and they will become moldy, and because of this thing, when you grind them and when you use it for your diet, then it is going to create many troubles for you, illness and other things. So the big question is that we know what steel is, we know what cement is, and we know how to use a fine balance of steel, cement and other building material. We have money as well, technological know-how. We have all these things. That what is the thing that is stopping us from constructing these silos and proper warehouses for our food production? I have got a small question for you guys. Can you give me the name of recently launched scheme by Government of India? And I'll give you one hint that 6,000 crore rupees was allocated for this scheme so that we can achieve food security, not food security, but we can save this, we can create warehouses, and we can stop this, eliminate this loss of food grains. With this, dear friends, next few items are easy to understand. They are not that difficult. Now, editorial, if you talk about, then you have this one, what's in a name. What's in a name is about this advisory that was issued by Union Information and Broadcasting Ministry to media people, saying that in future they should refrain, they should stop using this word Dalit. Rather than that, they should refer Dalits or people falling in this category as scheduled castes. Now the thing is, the reason why INB is insisting on using scheduled caste or SC rather than Dalit is that it is saying that In Constitution, we don't find this word Dalit. The more proper formal word is scheduled caste. Yes, of course, formal word is scheduled caste or scheduled castes. But the thing is that Dalit literally means downtrodden or broken. But it's not just limited to broken or downtrodden. It's literally means downtrodden or broken. But behind this word, there is a message as well. It reflects the struggle of this Dalit community and the pain through which they have gone through, and remembering it's not about taking a sort of revenge. It is more about, it's for the whole society. It's not just for Dalit community, it is for the whole nation to understand this thing, that what Britishers used to do with us, we cannot do this the same thing with each other. Because this sort of things, untouchability and all these things used to, it's coming on from a very long time. And it's very sad that even today we find this sort of things in various different pockets of our country. But anyways, we have to understand this thing, that it's about do's and don'ts. So Dalit is a word that reminds us about don'ts, that things that we don't want in our society. And we have seen many different words, like British people, they used to term Dalits as depressed classes. Earlier on, they were called untouchables. Later on, Mahatma Gandhi ji gave them this name called Harijans. Hari means Lord, and Jans means kids or people of God. So children of God, basically, that's the proper translation. So these were various different names, of course, depressed classes or this Harijans. Then later on, this Dalits, they decided that the best name for them is Dalits, and if they are happy with it, then government should not interfere as far as this, you can say, independence of media is concerned, And that's everything in this editorial. With this, I'll take you through this one, this CATSA first. Let's go through this one, CATSA. CATSA is about Communications, Compatibility and Security Agreement. This is not the first time you find CATSA on the Hindu analysis. Today is a very important day because we are going to have this 2+2 meeting taking place in our country. But the thing is that we have clearly stated that this S-400 Triumph missile system, we are going to get it from Russia, and the sanctions that USA is talking about, right? Well, the thing is, USA is not United Nations, and this has been stated by our defense minister as well, that we have made it clear that CATSA is a US law and not a United Nations law. So there is no point, and means the USA has no right at all to interfere with our matters. We don't tell them how to deal with Israel. We don't tell them to breach the trust of United Nations and other countries, and being a sort of middleman when this middle country or middleman, when they are declaring Israel, Jerusalem as their capital, and creating problems for both people of Israel and people of Palestine. God bless them both. But the thing is, this sort of stance taken by USA, we don't interfere with them, and they have no right at all to interfere in our internal matter. This is a very important point to understand. They are calling us a strategic partner and major defense partner and all these things. They know it very well that if we are going to buy S-400 Triumph missile from from Russia, then it's not that we are going to launch it against the USA. But what they want is they want to corner Russia, and for that they are doing everything. They are trying every trick in their book. But when it comes to strategic autonomy, we should not compromise at all. The other thing is that we don't need, items that they are offering. It's not that we need the best missile system. No, again, we have to keep this thing in mind, that you have to mix and match. Some items you need the best in the world. Some items you need okay, sort of quality, average quality. Some inferior thing will do as well. So you have to have this variety in your arsenal. Moving on to another item, it is about an assault on right to privacy. Now, you know that privacy is a thing that is our fundamental right, and recently, this case of activists, right? They are behind the bars or they are arrested by police. So this is a big thing that is going on. Now, I'm not going to take a stand on this thing, and the reason is that still investigation is going on. Let courts decide who is right and who is wrong. So there is no point of going into that thing. But here is a case of Professor K. Satyanarayana. Now basically, a search warrant in Marathi, a language that the professor neither speaks nor understands, was handed over to him, and based on this warrant, his house was searched. Now you would say that what's wrong with this thing? But the thing is the way he was treated. Professor K. Satyanarayana is a Dalit, so his Mrs. was asked this question that you were non-Dalit, or you are coming from a family that is non-Dalits, and why you decided to marry with this person? What was the thing behind? What was the reason? Then he was asked that why this professor was asked why he's reading books of Ambedkar and Marx, and they were treated very badly. There are so many things. If you go through, I'm sure you are going to go through this article. So if you'll go through this, you'll find that they were been asked to keep their bathroom doors open if they want to change their clothes or anything. So it was a big humiliation. And the most disturbing thing is that at 5 p.m. when a Marathi translator came in, at that point of time, Satyanarayana realized that that warrant had nothing to do with him. So this is first of all, right, an illegal search that this police conducted. The second thing is, you cannot breach someone's privacy like this way. If you have some solid evidence, then yes, you can go ahead. But they have destroyed some work of this professor, and they have created huge amount of damage. And it's not just physical or his work damage. The scars that they have created on this family, I don't think so they will ever go away. So this is something that is not acceptable at all. And privacy judgment has also clarified that without privacy, if you have life, means when we say life, we mean to say that our heart is pounding, or pulses are going on and we are breathing. If that's not life, right? Life is more than that. And one of the most basic thing is privacy. If I take away your privacy, you will start feeling suffocation. Not physical suffocation, but a sort of psychological or a sort of existential suffocation. You won't feel nice. And this is something that we find in jails, right? That's what the main purpose of jails are. You can say one is to take away your freedom, and freedom in the sense, it's not that you cannot step out from a sort of location, but again, your freedom, your privacy as well, is taken away. So because of this thing, you realize. So it's a very basic thing. It's a right if we look at from this way. But now we can have altogether different argument on this thing, that that when we keep someone behind the bar, that we are taking away that person's privacy. No, it's not like that. We are protecting privacy of other people. It is about the safety of larger population that we have to chuck some of them behind the bars. So let's go through news items now. The first one is about this trade talks stuck as US presses on gas and aircraft sales to India. What USA is trying to sell us, or they are trying to push this thing that they want us to buy items worth $10 billion from them per year for next 3 years to match this trade imbalance. But what about this investment and profit imbalance? USA makes huge amount of money, right, when they invest in our country. Look at all those companies, right? Coca-Cola is there. You have I can go on and on. There are so many things. You have chocolate making companies, and you have this McDonald's, and car making companies. There are so many. Then financial services and electronic things like mobile phones. Take your Apple and your Android. I'm not talking about production of that mobile phone. I'm talking about the main thing, technology. And if you go through the contracts, then you find that even if the phone is produced in China and sold in Indian market, right, America will be earning 10%, 5% from that one sale. So you can imagine how much money they are making. And there are so many companies. They are producing they are supplying, or they are BPOs, they are the ones who are, say for example, producing all these things in, they are USA companies producing items in our country, and then they are selling back to their country, and now USA wants us to, buy more for them. So we have to understand this difference between investment and trade, right? It's not just, we should not just focus on surplus and deficit bilateral trade. It is more than, it should be more than that. With this, Supreme Court has thrown out this plea to ban Malayalam novel called Misha. Misha is a novel that written by S. Harish, and court nod for new proof to enter NRC. And Supreme Court ruling today on section 377. It is about this private consensual sexual acts between same-sex adults. Mumbai could get Uber air taxis by 2023. Electric vehicle takeoff and landing eVTOL vehicles. And the Supreme Court refuses to give NRC report copy to Centre. And there is no need to panic on rupee fall, has been said by Mr. JT. He said that things that are going on with rupee is something that is out of our control, because this external factors are driving this drop and rise. So there is nothing we can do about it. Let's wait and watch. So that's what he's trying to tell us. Then Nitin Gadkari has clarified this thing, that the government is not against the petrol and diesel, but what government is trying to do is it's trying to promote ethanol and methanol, so we can lower our import bill, as well as our environment, become a bit more environment friendly. Then Sri Krishna panel that was on personal data protection bill. This has been criticized by this Central Information Commission has said that it's not holistic. So I believe in the future we will find some good articles on this thing, but please help yourself with this one. And not that healthy news coming from service sector. Service sector as well has declined a little bit. So this is a little bit bad news for us. As far as recap is concerned, we have clarified this thing that if you are trying to sell something, say for example, if something is produced in China, then you send it to Vietnam over there. In Vietnam, just a little bit of packaging will be done. Then this is something we will not consider as a item coming from Vietnam. We will take it as item coming from China. So if this last country, the final exporting country, if it is trying to sell something to India, then they should have added, 45-50% of value addition should be done by them. Then only we will accept that thing. And it's about RECAP. RECAP stands for, as you know, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. With this difference, these are your vocabularies. All you need to do is download this file and go through it. Right? I'll quickly go read it out for you. Insidious, you have shibboleth and interdict, robust and levy. Now, yesterday I asked you this question, and so far, right, the last time when I went through the comment, I cannot find any right answer. So I am going to keep this one. I'm not going to give you that easy answer. See, if you are saying that it is European Union, then you need to observe Ireland, right? Ireland is also part of European Union. So it should be in green. Then why it is in red? So it's not European Union. Observe these countries here. Just don't focus on this Switzerland and Brexit portion here. Even in Brexit, you will find that Ireland is part of European Union. It is just UK that is stepping out of European Union. So go through it, and I'm sure tomorrow you will, or today, hopefully, you will come out with a proper answer. If you have to do research, then go for it. But you have to. This is how you learn. It's a sort of homework, but it's more than that. It's a research work. Earthquake swarm means as a particular place getting multiple earthquakes in a short period of time. That can be a very simple definition of earthquake swarm. And I have a research question for you. Schengen Agreement, what it is all about. Go through it, study it, 360 degree, right? Spend 15-30 minutes after it, max 30 minutes, and I'm sure you will understand what is this Schengen Agreement all about. And that's everything, dear friends. Thank you very much. Today we have talked about 5 minutes extra. Anyways, please do make sure that you share this lecture with other students, and thank you very much for your Teachers Day greeting. I don't have words to explain, how good I feel when this love and this motivation is coming from you guys. So God bless you all, and all credit goes to you guys, to my teachers, to my parents, to Lord, and that's everything. I played a very small part. I don't take any credit at all, and it's not being modest. This is a fact, right? I don't see myself as any sort of extraordinary thing. Anyways, dear friends, enjoy your studies. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow, and make sure you work on this thing, right? It's very important. Work on this one and this one as well, and try to see if there is any connection between these two items. This is a hint for you. Goodbye.